Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, the Broncos in full pads on Tuesday, the fourth time in the last six practices, or last 6 days, I should say, the Broncos have been in full pads. They turned up the intensity on Tuesday evening, 101-degree heat. Didn't start practice till 4:15 in the afternoon, trying to acclimate themselves for South Florida. And I know our man Winston Venable misses a lot about playing, coaching, being over there, but Winston, 101-degree heat, practicing there at 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm sure the air conditioning felt pretty nice for you.
Oh man, I'm on a Wednesday morning in the AC right now. I do miss it out there, man. It's awesome to go check out some practices, see those boys get after it in the heat. But yeah, man, my playing days are done. I try to get some exercise in here and there, and every once in a while I'll pull the Prater and try to step into a hot environment just to get a sweat on and shed a couple. But no, those guys are going through it right in the thick of it right now, and getting well prepared. Obviously the humidity will be a little different, but don't sleep on old Idaho getting hot in the summer, right? I remember some of those hot days out on the blue, and that turf's even hotter than what it says on that temperature gauge. So those guys are getting prepared, man. Awesome to see it.
You said pulling a Prater, and usually that's not a good thing, but that sounded okay in that reference, so we'll let that one slide. But yeah, he is Winston Venable, former Boise State legendary linebacker, Fiesta Bowl champion, and obviously you know him, you love him. Did a great job as an assistant coach, staff member as well, and happy to have him. This is our second week now back in the fold. Wednesdays with Winston here on Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. We're part of the 247 Sports family, and appreciative to be with you on a Wednesday morning live as we get you set for the season opener, which is now just 15 days away. Winston, 2 weeks from tomorrow. They're going to have Scrimmage 2 tomorrow, so we're going to get into that and kind of talk about what Scrimmage 2, the goals of that are as a coach and as a player, and as you kind of turn that page towards the 0 week and then getting into game week. But as I said, Winston, appreciate you for coming on. Happy to have you on a Wednesday again. And I know it's going to be fun all season long doing this and talking football. And we were out there yesterday in the heat. And as I said, yesterday was hot. They moved it to the afternoon to try to simulate a little more of that Florida, heat and humidity and stuff. But that was the the fourth straight practice, or at least the fourth practice out of the last 6 days where they were in full pads. They were in full pads for scrimmage number 1 last Thursday. They had a day off Friday, but I think Saturday morning they were back in full pads. Sunday they had the Inferno practice in full pads over there on the indoor. Then Tuesday back in full pads yesterday, and then full pads for the scrimmage on Thursday coming up. So it'll be 5 out of 8 days with the 2 scrimmages of full pads. And I do have a soundbite we can play from Spencer Danielson here in a minute talking about that. But it seems like this, after that first scrimmage, once you kind of ease it up in the shells, full pads, you get that first scrimmage. And it seems like this week they've really upped the intensity as you hit the middle part of camp.
Yeah, I think it's probably in that ramp-up stage for sure, like you just mentioned. I mean, so many days back-to-back in pads, and then, after this second scrimmage, they'll probably taper it down a little bit and get, focused on that bonus week and really start to, put the whole thing together and take a little bit, I don't want to say time off at all. There's no time off here, but they'll taper down a little bit, get more focused on the game plan. Yeah, absolutely. Did you guys go to the Inferno practice?
I was ready to go, ready to get my sweat on, as you said, and pull a Prater, but they did not allow us to go to that one. That was a Sunday morning. I think it worked better just to have that one privately, but I saw some photos they posted from Sunday morning, and I mean, you could literally see the drips and the condensation when guys were hitting each other, just kind of, exploding off because of just how damp and muggy and hot it was on Sunday. But I would have gone if they let us, but we didn't go on Sunday. No.
Yeah, I was wondering if Dale's still managing the hose there.
Oh yeah, right there at the front when you walk in.
Got watered down or not? Because I know the players are getting watered down for sure. Just adds another little element, tries to create that humidity in there, and you can you can simulate it the best you can. I mean, obviously you're not going to get what you're going to get out in Florida, but the program's been doing that for a while. Awesome, opportunity to be able to have and privilege to have an indoor to try to simulate that, because if you didn't, then you're not going to get that. And I think, Boise's always going to do the best they can to simulate a game atmosphere. And those are just those small things, right, that can go a long way. So it's not an initial shock. And you put your best foot forward and best effort into try to doing those things. And we're pretty fortunate to have an indoor here and got all the equipment manager watering the boys down.
Yeah, no doubt. I mentioned Spencer Danielson meeting with the media yesterday after practice. We had a chance to catch up with him, and here's the kind of opening statement, I guess. But the first thoughts from Spencer, kind of updating everybody on where they're at here in fall camp.
Like we were just talking about, man, thank you, Jesus, for a nice hotter day in Boise, Idaho. I told the guys 78 degrees, got a little breeze coming out of Bogus. But it was good to get out there today a little bit later, get some good work in. Tomorrow is kind of like our fast Friday. And then obviously Thursday, 2 weeks from kickoff, is going to be scrimmage number 2. So big scrimmage last week, a lot to improve on, some good, some bad. Some guys really elevating, some guys not. And as a coach, we really see those things. Scrimmage number 2 is where really everything settles down, right? Where you kind of look at your 4 special teams. Okay, where are we at in the 2 deep there? Because that will directly correlate to who's traveling to the game. And then especially offense and defensively, where are we at in our 2 deep? So really proud of how the guys have battled. Like we talked about last week, man, what you sow is what you reap. And I think our guys are really putting in the time, putting the work in. Because with all the expectations, we had a good meeting this morning about the top 25 rankings, right? Hey, awesome, you're ranked in the top 25. Last year, there were 13 teams that were ranked and weren't ranked. Some of them didn't even make a bowl game, right? So what people talk about you in the preseason, it's awesome. Proud of what our team was able to do last year and get us in that conversation. Boise State should always be in that conversation. But now it's up to us to go put the work in and earn everything we do. And in the landscape of college football, it's week in and week out. That's what it is. And so we got a huge test coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk about more later in South Florida. But really proud of our team. My focus is that same process over outcome, right? I need your best right now. Your best in your meeting right now. Our guys got to have their best recovery after a really good, hard practice. So proud of where we're growing to. Got a long way to go and got to keep cleaning it up. So.
Well, the scrimmage 2 is tomorrow. As I said, today they kind of dial it back with one of those kind of fast Friday type practices, Winston. But as you gear up for scrimmage 2 here, obviously this is a big couple of days where, as you heard there, the travel roster, which, by the way, I found out, I think I knew this, but in non-conference play, there's no rule. It's just how many hotel room. I mean, how many spots on the plane do you have? How many hotel rooms can you make work? But not everybody gets to go. Obviously, you take more probably for a non-conference game than the rules of a conference game. But not everybody gets to go down to South Florida. And so if you want to hit that travel roster, you got to prove that you're a valuable guy here on special teams or some reason for them to put you on that plane.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think like even Coach D was talking about, there's, fall camp, you can think of it however long date wise, how many weeks they get, but ultimately, they got to start preparing, right? And they got to start getting these guys that are on that, figuring out who they are. But, I think that evaluation period is not the full training camp, not the full camp. That's where this second scrimmage, things are going to start getting ironed out, and they have to, because they have to start realizing, who's on that bus, who's on that plane, and start preparing those guys and ultimately giving them more reps. So I think, in the beginning of fall camp, you'll see a lot of guys sharing reps and getting a lot of work out there. And then towards the end, you're going to up the reps and smart reps with the players that you're going to travel with. But those guys ultimately have to be prepared. And it's not like you start doing that game week. You start doing that, right around this time after the second scrimmage. So, it's a big evaluation time right now leading up into that second scrimmage. And then after that, I mean, it's who are we rolling with, and let's get these guys prepared over the next 2 weeks, probably a bonus week in there that they call it. And they're going to do, like even what we say right now, a fast Friday. I mean, all that stuff is just preparing for the season. And the more you can be prepared on, August 13th, it's going to help in November and December and later on in the season. So these guys should be repping, everything, how they stretch, how they huddle, what the typical week's going to look like. And you have to implement those things in fall camp. So those boys are getting after it, and they're going to start tightening that roster up. And like Coach D said, the 2 deep there is getting set.
In particular, that scrimmage 2, though, what's the difference between scrimmage 1 and scrimmage 2 in terms of the evaluation from a coach's perspective? As you said, the day after the scrimmage, I mean, tomorrow the scrimmage is at, noon or whatever. And then tomorrow night, there's probably the meetings are already happening. The film is watching maybe Friday, whenever, but how quickly, I mean, they're talking about quarterback 2 has to be decided. Some other, backup spots need to be decided. There's not a lot of starting battles really this year that have to be decided, but which I guess is a good thing, but a lot of key spots for that first main backup, which will obviously they'll get a lot of playing time too. But what is the difference, I guess, in terms of what coaches are looking at and all that stuff when you go from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2?
Yeah, I think it's probably like, seeing what guys continue to step up, and that's no different than scrimmage 1. But scrimmage 2, if there's guys that are, doing a little correct and review and seeing the challenges and seeing the critiques and things that they have been coached and asked to work on, do they step up and work on those? Do they step up and correct those assignments, adjustments, all those type of things? And if you do and you perform well, that may put you in that position. If it's there's a lot of guys competing out there, so there might be some really tight battles for that second spot, whether it's the backup safety or quarterback or whatever you have. I mean, everywhere on the all 22 spots. So I think this is just another opportunity for guys to compete, showcase themselves, try to clean up mistakes. And if you got some mistakes out there and you clean them up, that can look really good on you. If you have some mistakes from scrimmage 1 or the practices before and you don't clean those up, that could be a minus in the old grade book. So I think it's just a little bit of that final hurrah for evaluation in some live settings. I was always a better player, when we were able to tackle live, right, and showcase my abilities to tackle. And that was always frustrating to not have those opportunities in practice. So some guys, they're gamers, right? And you want to find out who are the football players, who rises to the occasion. And I think that's what you're really going to see with scrimmage 2. Who's corrected their mistakes, who's rising up, and who's trying to earn their spot and separate themselves. And with an evaluation after scrimmage, you might be able to tell those type of things. So if there's some tight battles, hopefully you're seeing some guys say, no, this is my spot. I want it. I've corrected my mistakes and put me in the game, and I'm trying to make that plane ride.
And Spencer did say after yesterday that, I mean, they're 12, 13 practices in, right? You pretty much know what you got at this point. You've had 2+ weeks to put it on film. So it's not like one scrimmage is going to, I mean, you have an idea. So you're not just basing it off the scrimmage, but certainly that's kind of the final exam of your test, right? Of your semester exam or whatever. The final exam is a part of that and plays into it. But certainly they have 2 weeks here to see it. And, this is some footage from yesterday. I know you, Matt Lauder, have a relationship here. A lot of these guys you do, but to the tight ends getting after it. What, we saw you out of practice. I know we talked last week, but just for you in general, any takeaways from the first couple of weeks here from players or things you've heard talking to players, coaches, media reports you've seen, just where you at big picture with the team and camp at this point?
Yeah, big picture wise, I think, a lot of people obviously talk about the running back room, right? And I think obviously Ashton had a lot of production, was a great leader for the team. And, just going back into, I think, more of the leadership style, or not style, but the leadership perspective. Obviously, he brought a lot to the table on production on the field, but also leader off. And then, additionally, Alexander Tubner was the captain of the defense, right? Really a captain of the team. And, guys like Ty Benefield, Zion Washington, I'm really excited to see those guys step up and start to understand, is Marco, at the linebacker spot, he's been a leader, but is he going to take over the defense and call it his defense? Because I really think the veteran leadership in Alexander Tubner last year, that's a missing piece, and they got some guys in that secondary that, there's some veteran players, but I don't think that we, or at least myself, have learned as much about, who they are as leaders. And leadership, man, it just goes such a long way. Those guys are the ones building the team chemistry, holding guys accountable. And, I got a lot of love for Tubner, and I just know the demand and the respect and the ownership that he took out there on the field. And I know that was very similar for Ashton Genty. And I think, you can't always coach a guy how to be a leader. Sometimes it's within them. And I think they are missing two huge leaders with Ashton gone and Tubner gone, let alone their production on the field. So
yeah,
leadership perspective is something that I'm really, trying to learn about and see who emerges there and takes ownership, keeps these guys accountable. And then, obviously just the coaching side. I mean, I think it's an awesome staff that they have, right? A lot of guys returning. They got an addition with Zach Hill, but Nate Potter, going into year one, as far as calling the plays, he's got a great support cast with him. But Dirk Cutter, talk about leadership, talk about veteran experience. He brought a lot to the Bronco program. And I think as these guys are practicing on the field, the coaches are also practicing, and they're going to get better each week. But it'll be really cool to see Nate Potter's emergence as an offensive coordinator. And I'm excited to see him go to work, man. I think smart dude, great football player. And I'm really excited to see the offensive staff, flourish and see what they got going on this year. But
all right,
a lot of leadership.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about this drill. I think we showed some of these clips from the last time they did it last week, Winston. But now a lot of people are critical of the tackling. A lot of fans are saying that, this is not a good look on it's a tackling drill, and they're not making a ton of tackles here. I mean, they are pushing them towards the sideline there, but this is a drill that they haven't necessarily done a ton of in the past. Now they're doing it pretty much every time they're in full pads. I know fans kind of are looking at it differently. They want to see just huge tackles every time. There's wrapping them up there, and then they blew the whistle. But just when you see a drill like this, obviously it's set up for the offensive player to have the advantage. But it's not a ton of times you're just going a guy one-on-one and that's it. You usually got some help or leverage. You're trying to push the guy around. But what would you say, even in this chat right now, there's a couple of fans that said the tackling drill wasn't impressive yesterday. What would your response be as you watch this?
Yeah, I mean, hey, you have to drill it, right? You have to put these guys in challenging positions, and I would just say that this is as challenging as it gets. I mean, making an open field tackle is, one of the hardest things to do in football, and that's what these guys are being challenged to do right now. So it's no easy task. Perception is perception. I mean, whatever you're seeing on film, yeah, there's some missed tackles, but this is as hard as it's going to get. Now, you can simulate this as a guy running down on kickoff and needing to make that tackle. And when you make it, that's why it's such a big deal to make an open field tackle and to, save a guy from going and making a touchdown run. So it is challenging. These guys are practicing. They're working on their craft. They're doing it in a position to be better game one. So if they work on it now, they get coached up, they keep drilling it, they will be better as the season goes, right? So it's not supposed to look pretty. It's supposed to look ugly. You're supposed to get corrected. You're supposed to learn your technique. So, give the boys a little bit of a break. Understand that it is practice. And then when you see a guy make a tackle in this situation, man, it's super impressive because usually, like you said, BJ, there's another guy there. There's more bodies out there on the field. There's less room to cut. So this is really the most challenging it's going to get. And, good for BSU's coaching staff for putting that drill together and continuing to drill it.
Ben says it's only about pursuit and initial contact. Offensive players at the advantage, not worried.
There you go.
There you go. All right, so I want to talk about the linebacker position here in a minute, Winston, because obviously you know that position very well. They lose Andrew Simpson to North Carolina in the transfer portal. You got Marco Notriani back, who you mentioned, but obviously some other younger guys trying to fit in there at linebacker. So I want to get your take on kind of the linebacker position and where it's at, and we do have a bite from Spencer that we can play as well. But I do want to take a quick time out and thank some of our sponsors. That includes Andy Rowe and RowPaint.com. Our title sponsor is RowPaint.com. All your painting needs, make sure you're hitting up RowPaint.com. Those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, they got you covered at RowPaint.com. Taco Bell, we're going to get out and do a broadcast soon. I keep saying that, but we're going to make it happen. TacoBellWorks.com, the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family. We appreciate Taco Bell for their support of Bronco Nation News. Get on out to Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Great, cheap, delicious, affordable food. I'm on the keto train right now, Winston, and they got the great Cantina Bowls, which has been great for me. So love Taco Bell and appreciate them. You can get more information online, TacoBellWorks.com. Hey, mentioned it being 100 degrees yesterday. Perfect time to get out to Roaring Springs. Couple weekends left before they close down for the year, and you can save $8 a ticket at Jackson's or Extra Mile by Jackson's. Just buy 2 Coca-Cola products. Get your voucher for $8 off, and you can use that 4 times at Jackson's or Extra Mile. Jackson's or Extra Mile, and we appreciate Jackson's for their support of Bronco Nation News. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. TheSpaTeam.com is their website. They got locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around, believe it or not, since 1978, and they're part of the Boise State home team as well. So whether it's a sauna, a spa, pool table, they got you covered. Hit them up online at thespateam.com. Hey, the Blue and Orange Store has got some great deals going on right now. Basketball jerseys, football jerseys, all kinds of stuff. The Blue and Orange Store online at theblueandorangestore.com. You can now check out their new location right there at the Hall of Fame at Boise State Athletics. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. And we'll be broadcasting Monday from the new Hall of Fame down there at the new location of the Blue and Orange Store at the Hall of Fame down there at BSU. So the Blue and Orange Store, again, the blueandorangestore.com. And the fall kickoff sales underway at Lithia Ford of Boise. LithiaFordBoise.com. Jim Sturk stepping up. You saw he's sponsoring Bronco Studios. They got their first episode today, so good luck to Jay and company. But they're doing a tremendous job in terms of the NIL game, taking care of Spencer Danielson and his vehicle, other coaches, other players, administrators. You want to support somebody that truly does as one of the biggest supporters out there at Boise State Athletics. That is Lithia Ford of Boise. So I can promise you, you're going to get a first-class, top-notch service every step of the way. So head on out to Lithia Ford of Boise online, LithiaFordBoise.com. And I do want to give a shout out to Idaho Central Credit Union, Winston. I don't have their new graphic yet, but they signed Cage Casey, Maddox Madsen, Latrell Caples, Pearson Carmichael from the basketball team. They've got 7 NIL deals that they've announced, and they've got some new commercials and things in the works. So we're going to be getting in here soon. And they are now back on board as an official sponsor with Learfield as well. So ICCU, we appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union. You're going to be seeing their logo back around the blue and inside Extra Mile Arena. And they announced yesterday the Idaho Central Arena downtown, Winston, the Vandals coming back to Boise. I know it's an exhibition game. I know it's basketball. Everybody wants football. But Idaho Central Arena downtown is going to be hosting Boise State and Idaho, their first meeting in more than a decade in either football or basketball. So we'll be seeing that coming up in October. So that's cool. So again, appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union. Do you want to play are you on the, do you want to play the Vandals again in football? Or are you saying, you know what, they're our little brother, leave them up north. I want no part of that. Where you got some history with the Vandals, man. Where are you at in terms of people wanting to get that rivalry going again?
Tough question, man. I'm like all for the in-state rivalry. I don't know. I know that the old Vandals used to take it to us back in the day, and then the times changed. And, I think how awesome it would be to get the state of Idaho all in one venue and put on a cool event, and maybe it's, I know Deion Sanders was teasing something about joint practices and stuff like that in the spring. I actually think that would be pretty cool. Do it at a neutral site, get this whole state of Idaho wrapped around the idea of coming supporting, two of the bigger football programs in the state and have a really cool spring practice, something like that, an exhibition game, a preseason, event. But hey, man, if we're going to play an FCS team, why not be the Vandals? I'm not against it. I don't know how much it values, either side, but I think that'd be pretty cool just to get that back going, something that the whole state can get behind. So not opposed to it. But once again, I know that, kind of leave some of those things up into Jeremiah Dickey's hands. And I know he's teased about something about that, but I don't know. It's got to make sense, right? It's got to make sense financially. But I do think that if we could ever get to hosting a joint practice or some type of event where you get the Vandals and the Broncos back together, because I think just this state's awesome with community. And I think that would be pretty cool to link up forces there and put on something for the state of Idaho and be a big community deal.
Maybe this is going back to Winston, BNN After Dark days. But what's your when you think Vandals, man? What's your favorite Idaho memory?
Oh man. All right. I'll be sensitive with my words, but not too sensitive. So a gentleman that I truly do respect as a college player, and I got to spend some time with him in the East-West Shrine game. But one of my favorite memories is Doug Martin running over Shiloh Keogh in the end zone up at their place. And, there's a lot of hype going into that game, but ultimately Shiloh was the leader of the Vandals and one heck of a football player, Super Bowl champ. Really respect his game. But when you can punish a leader of a team the way Doug Martin did in the end zone, that was just one of the most memorable plays, memorable moments that I've had as a Bronco. And it really, that's a big gut punch, right? I mean, it's a gut punch for everybody in that stadium, gut punch for their leader to get absolutely crushed by Doug. And, like I said, sensitive to some of my words there because I have a lot of respect for Shiloh, but he was their guy, right? So when you can do that, it's pretty powerful. So that was one of my biggest memories there against the old Vandals.
And when we had Doug Martin on the show, I mean, wasn't there something too where he took the hammer and did something with it either at midfield or something?
There's been the sledgehammer slammed in the middle of the field. There's been an Idaho helmet lit on fire in the bathroom.
Is that Choate?
That's old Choater story there. So, there's been some heat, if you will, when it comes to the Vandals. And it's interesting. They have some interesting tactics as well. Like you go out there and they're wearing like blue and orange bands and kind of they wear the opposite team's color. And I don't know, that kind of always threw me off a little bit, but it's interesting. You hear some stories about what gets put in the urinals, whether it's a Bronco logo or a DAV logo, and guys are going to the bathroom and doing whatever they got to do on the logo that week. So there's all sorts of old history, and that's the thing. I mean, some of that stuff's fun, right? And that's what was created back in the day. And like I said, the Vandals used to bring it to the Broncos, and then obviously times changed a little bit, and I'm not too sure. And that's the thing. Like college football is so competitive. You can't go sleep on Eastern Washington. You can't go sleep on App State. It's not like you anybody can beat anybody. So, I mean, I think there's going to be competitive football. How long it's competitive, who knows, man. First half, I remember UC Davis coming in here, and Coach Plow actually was the coordinator at Davis when they came up to play us in, I think, 2009 or 10, and they put it to us for a half, and then just wasn't sustainable, and we did our thing, but it was a tight ball game. So like I said, how competitive that game would be, I don't know, but it would be pretty cool to have some type of rivalry, some type of in-state game, and I think those games are big in other places. And, unfortunately, it's not a big-time university that's just up north, but, I'm jealous of those other programs in Texas or, wherever, Oklahoma. I mean, those are sick atmospheres when you're talking about these in-state games. I mean, it's just big time. And, obviously Boise's done well against teams that we call rivalries. And, you look at the history books and it's not much of a rivalry. There's just an extra little hype to it, or maybe a trophy attached to it. So I think anytime you can create that kind of hype would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would. I think every other year it should just be Idaho or Idaho State. Just you play your FCS school. There's no need to play in Eastern Washington or to Tennessee Tech or whoever these schools are. Just Idaho one year, Idaho State the next. Idaho 1 year, pay them their check, let them come down, do it for the state, do it for all the high school kids in this state that aren't good enough to play at Boise State, have to go to one of those schools, and they can still get a game back on the blue. I mean, there shouldn't be any worry about losing to either one of those schools if you're Boise State. So I don't know what, from that standpoint, if that's any part of it or not. Or I know some people say don't give a penny to the Vandals, don't pay them to come here, whatever. But if it's, 45-7, you paid them and let them head on back home. So I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I'm cool with it, and it does sound like it's moving in that direction where they're getting closer to doing that again from some of the hints and things. But at least on the basketball side, at least in an exhibition, it is back October 17th, Idaho Central Arena, Boise State and Idaho. All right, the linebacker position, Winston, a position you know very well. And by the way, you're already getting called out for being a homer on here in the chat. Vlad says Winston is limited in what he can say. Let me do a pre-translation. Our linebackers last year were average at best. They need to be better.
I haven't even said anything yet, Vlad.
Well, the pre-translation, he knows what you're going to say.
Pre-translation, I got you, Vlad.
He knows what you're going to say before you say it, man. So the linebacker spot, we're going to hear from Spencer here in a second, but obviously losing Andrew Simpson, Marco's back. I mean, Nathan Carroll, who works for us here at BNN, thinks that, that Marco Notriani could get drafted if he has a big year. Like, he just thinks that much of him, and he thinks he is going to have a monster year. But where are you with Marco? And then also with, whether it's Jake Ripp or some of these other guys having to step up and fill some spots there.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it. One of the interesting things for me is just, like you can even look at most of the year last year, but especially towards the end. And, I think it was more scheme related than injury or, I think you could probably say that the personnel, if you have, 3 stud linebackers, then you're going to want to keep them on the field. But if you look back at the Fiesta Bowl, a guy's name that I dropped earlier, Alexander Tubner, he was lining up in the box, right? We essentially played with one linebacker last year, and guys were in that dime package. So there was multiple defensive backs playing on the field. Now, as a linebacker, I would have been very, very upset if there was only one guy playing at a time. Personally, I'd take that and step up my efforts and not be happy about that. But I'd also be looking at myself in the mirror and wondering, are they not playing us because we're not good enough? And I'm not saying that about this room, but when you go to a dime package and that be your base personnel for a defense, it could tell you a little bit of a story of how they feel about their linebackers, or essentially, not even anything about them. It's about what scheme and personnel is going to be best to go against this opponent. And once again, when you have personnel like Alexander Tubner that's allowed to come in and play big in the box and essentially line up against Penn State and play the linebacker position, that's pretty big time, man. So I don't know. I haven't watched enough to see, hey, are they going to like the dime package as their base personnel? Maybe they do. Maybe it has to do with the personnel at linebacker. Maybe it has to do with, hey, this is the best we are out in the field, and we have the personnel to do so. So, either way, BJ, Marco's a stud. He's a leader. He's a heck of a football player. But once again, I think when you talk about quarterbacks or safeties or who's next, right, and who's going to step up, Jake Ripp, young guy, not a whole bunch of reps. Like, he's got to get going. We got another player out there wearing the old 17 that I got my eye on, and Clay. I don't want to butcher his last name. Clay Martineau. He's wearing 17, so that draws my eyes to him just because I wore old 17, and I'm an old has-been that's passionate about who's rocking that number, right? And he's a type of guy that's got to step up, right? The LBs haven't been good, Winston. That is it for sure. So, I mean, it's all about this depth and who's going to step up, because once again, if Mad Dog goes down, what does it look like? If Marco goes down from a leadership standpoint, and if they are in a dime package and he's the main guy out there, who's stepping up, right? So I think there's concerns for sure, man. But keep Marco healthy and let him run the show. I think he is the captain of the defense. He's a heck of a player. And, as far as Nathan's comments and all that, like, a lot of these guys put themselves in good positions. They play, in a great conference, and they have a lot of eyes on them. So if dudes do well, they may have that shot to get drafted. So good for Marco and Nathan's views on that.
Now, I know one of these games we're hoping for the post-game show, maybe the Air Force game. One of these games we're going to try to get you out to Uncle Bob's Pizza, and we got Nathan and Chris, and then our guest is Michael Callahan for the opener. But we're hoping for maybe another road game we can get you out there and get you on the post-game show. And I know you and Nathan will, over a beer at halftime or on air can discuss his comments about the defense and the star power compared to the 2010 team or
Nathan's got some strong takes, man. That's for sure. No, I'm looking forward to meeting Nathan, picking his brain a little bit.
BNN on BNN beef here, man. I was trying to be in the middle of it. I was like, come on,
man. That is like I said, man, I'm a very prideful guy, man. And there's a lot of respect I have for my teammates. A lot of respect for guys that I've coached, and
just so you know, I think it was misunderstood. He said since that team, so he was still saying that team was better. He was just saying we haven't seen anybody. He in his mind, I forget the phrase, whatever it was, star power, talent, whatever. He was saying the next closest team to compare it to is that team. He was not actually saying saying that team was better.
Hey, fun BNN banter, BJ. But like I said, there's a level of respect I have for not just my time, but guys that came before me, and some guys are just unaware of, really unaware of the incredible players that have played on this blue field. And I don't take any of that stuff lightly, man. I told you multiple times, I'm a very prideful Bronco, and I've played with and I've been a part of, but also I learned a lot when I came here about how special this place is and how hard it is to do some things that were done in the past. And man, I won't take any of that lightly, man. I got a lot of love and pride and passion.
Let's hear Spencer Danielson talking about that linebacker group.
Marco's had a phenomenal camp. I mean, I think who Marco is, I don't want to, if you just watch, you might miss how integral he is to our defense. He gets everything right. Sets the fronts, gets the communication right. I mean, he is a second coach on that field. I mean, you can't belittle the play Marco's having. I think he's having a phenomenal fall camp. Jake Ripp's had a good fall camp. Bowen Phelps has had a really good fall camp. I'd say those three have really elevated themselves. Clay Martineau and Chase Martin are doing some good things, need to be more consistent in the physicality they play with. Those are really the ones going at it. And I think Mana and Sincere are two true freshmen that are going to have a big role on special teams and be really good players here. How much they are this year on defense, we'll continue to see. But if I'm going to elevate wise, I think Marco, Jake Ripp, and Bowen Phelps have had the best fall camps thus far.
We'll continue this discussion here momentarily. But I want to tell you about Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. BauscherRealEstate.com. Check them out. Rain's family bought and sold our home using Matt and his team. Tremendous customer service every step of the way. We appreciate Matt and his team. Check them out online at BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. You can go there, find a location near you. They got 13 of them in the state of Idaho, other surrounding states as well. Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Transportation Compliance Service, TransCompService.com. They can help you every step of the way. Get into the trucking industry. They are a local company helping out folks all over the world. So if you're looking for a new job, new career, fresh start, maybe consider the trucking industry. Get more information online at transcomservice.com. Hey, if you want to leave us a voicemail, we're definitely going to fire this thing up for the post-game show here in a couple of weeks. Signature Roofing presents the voice inbox here at BNN, speakpipe.com/BNN. You can leave us a voicemail anytime, day or night. We'll play it on an upcoming show. It's brought to you, as I said, by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a re-roof, repair, and estimate inspection, we got you covered online at Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. We'll be in Vegas next week. Brad Bedell and myself. I'll be trying to keep Brad Bedell out of fights for not unhappy folks when he splits face cards at the blackjack table down there at Circa. We'll be there next week, broadcasting on Thursday and Friday for the Ultimate Contest weekend. Looking forward to this and getting down to Circa again. Hopefully you guys are going to join us. If not, we can sign you up. I got a check in the mail from somebody yesterday. Want me to sign them up for the contest next week. $21 million in guaranteed prizes. They got the $15 million winner take all for the Survivor contest, $6 million for the Millions contest. You pick 5 games against the spread every week, and there's quarterly prizes as well. So get a couple buddies together. We all don't make Winston Venable money, so maybe you get a couple guys, you pool your money together and split it 3 or 4 ways, and you watch your Boise State game on Saturday, you watch all the college football, and then you wake up on Sunday morning with some skin in the game for $21 million in prizes. It makes for a fun weekend, I can tell you firsthand. We made it to week 11, I think, of the Survivor contest 2 years ago, and was starting to actually sweat a little bit, and then had a really, really bad beat. But it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. And again, it's a $1,000 entry fee, but if you get a couple buddies together, it really is affordable. We can sign you up, and it is 100% legal to play with a proxy. You just have to sign up down in Vegas. So if you can make it down to join us, that'd be great. The Ultimate Contest weekend, you get 50% off your room. You get open bar events with the owner, all kinds of great stuff, a free blackjack tournament. So if you can make it down there next week, great. But if not, reach out and we can help sign you up. And it is 100% legal. You just have to sign up in Vegas, but then you can play from anywhere in the world from our friends at Circa Sports and Circa Resort and Casino. And I do want to throw in a plug. I mentioned the watch party, Uncle Bob's Pizza, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Come join us. They're going to have great food specials, great drink specials. If you're a paying subscriber, we'll buy your first beer, and it's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to raffle off some gift cards, and it's going to be a lot of fun there. Uncle Bob's Pizza in Meridian. And I will be down at South Florida for the game, but Nathan and Chris and Michael Callahan will have a live post-game show from Uncle Bob's after the game. They'll be there watching the game with you guys as well. Great pizza. If you've never been out there, it's an awesome spot. And they have some great daily specials that you see on the screen as well. But join us. Make plans now. 3:30. Winston, kind of a weird Thursday, 3:30 time, man. Hopefully, this is Boise, Idaho, though. So, I'm sure they're calling school off early that day, and works are closing, and it's a federal holiday, I guess, or a state holiday, or it should be. But little weird Thursday, 3:30 time. But I know folks are already asking off or making plans for that, and hopefully they'll join us out at Uncle Bob's. Yeah, man. How many other games are rocking at that time? 3:30 on a Thursday. None. That's prime time, man. That's Bronco football for you right there. So I'm sure not just Bronco Nation, but the whole nation will be tuning into that, checking out the boys out there. And what an awesome way to start off the season. I'm all for a little prime time football on Thursday. As we get ready to wrap this up, I want to hear one more quick bite from Spencer and then get your reaction, Winston. This is just a little more in depth, as we kind of talked about at the beginning, up in the intensity, 4 padded practices in 6 days, and just kind of what they're hoping to accomplish here. This is the week. We went into it. I told her, I'm testing you. I want to know who loves this game, who loves their teammates, and who wants to just wear the backpack. Right? I want to find those guys. And I believe that this is a team that loves each other. I believe that's a core value of ours. But that is action and sacrifice. Who's going to sacrifice what they want most, right? How I feel in the mornings, beat up, tired. There's a lot of guys right now banged up that are fighting their tail off to make sure they go practice.
because I'm not smart enough, but the only way to get better at football is playing it. And we're not a training room team. We're not a weight room team. We're a real football team. And we're going to put pads on. We're going to tackle live. We're going to find ways to grow. We got to be smart. And there is a balance. I think that was a question maybe you asked last week, Sean. Like, there is a balance to it, BJ. But I want to make sure there's a mentality about this team. And it's been really cool to see that grow. Not there yet, but really cool to see it grow. And at the end of the day, you look at college football, everybody's working to find that balance, right? If you overdo it and your guys aren't fresh to play game one, that's a problem too, right? So you got to find that balance and working through that.
Was this a different than normal year, or was it more intense?
We made some changes this fall camp, right? You always, at the end of every fall camp, you look, okay, what are some things you learned? And a couple of things I want to put our guys in more conflict, right? Especially with the team we have. We got some new players. We got some guys that are stepping into bigger roles. I want to see how they respond, right? We put in the urgency period now where whenever the horn hits, we are putting the ball down and we got, as fast a plays as we can run, right? Just to see when you're thrown off your schedule, right? Because sometimes in practice, I believe in schedule. I believe in being efficient. But sometimes that's not the game we play, right? Turnover, sudden change, muff punt, right? Things happen that we got to be ready to adjust to. And I want to turn up the intensity. We know tackling is a big part of what we need to grow in as a team. So we're tackling more. And we got to make sure our guys can tackle and get guys on the ground. And I want to know who can prior to game one.
First of all, it's just so refreshing to talk to Spencer and hear some of the stuff that he says compared to maybe previous interactions we've had with head coaches. I'll just leave it at that. But very, very refreshing. And if fans are feeling the same thing, like it's just hard not to get motivated to want to play for that guy or to feel why there's positive momentum around this program. Just hearing the way he talks, it just, as a side note, you feel good about the future of this thing with that guy in charge. You just do. But with that said, what'd you take away from there? And just, there is a balance, right? You don't want to have every practice in full pads. You can't burn these guys into the ground. And there is a tipping point, but he's trying to get them as close to that line as he can. He said, hey, our tackling wasn't as good last year, so we're tackling more in fall camp, and we need to see who can tackle. And we've had problems at times with other, urgency and drills and things. So we're going to randomly every practice at some point, Winston, randomly now, the horn goes off whenever he decides to do it, and they just go get into a 2-minute situation or go get into a drive and just on no preparation, turnover happens. All right, let's go. And so he's trying to just put them in different situations that they're used to, so that when they do get to that first game, every situation, nothing's new to them. They've repped it and they've done it. And I joked the other day, they were even practicing like taking a knee and then celebrating victory formation. Like they're going through literally everything. And part of that comes with that intensity and just seeing where that breaking point is and how far they can push guys. And I know there is a fine line, but it's, there's not going to be a lot of tougher teams out there than them this year. I'll say that.
No, I think year in and year out, there's not a whole lot of tougher teams than what the Broncos put together. I mean, that's a big part of just summer program and the work ethic that we've had for, just several years here. Just like you hit, man, big takeaway, just that test, right? Testing these guys, putting them in conflicts, adversity. I think as much as it is about situational football and putting, even like you said, victory formation or taking a knee, all those things, like you're going to hit all those situations. And then there's still going to be things that happen in a football game that you just weren't prepared for. And I don't want to say weren't prepared for, but there's just going to be some random things that happen in a football game. And that's what these guys are trying to do. They're trying to create as much chaos. They're trying to throw out as much stuff to these guys and see how they respond, right? How do you respond to this chaos, this adversity? You can look at a practice script and you think, period 7 is going to be, a one-on-one period or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's 11 on 11 and the ball's on the goal line. And how do you guys respond to that situation? So with that test, I love hearing Coach D talk about it, right? Where they're putting these guys in pads. He wants to see, who's showing up in the morning and still getting the treatment, by the trainers to go be prepared to be the best that they can be, or who's sleeping in longer, and who's taking those steps, because it's very easy at, practice 4 or 5 in pads for a couple of these guys to go into that training room with a little bit of soreness, a little bit of a hamstring, a little bit of an ankle or a shoulder or what have you, and maybe try to shut it down for a day, because mentally and physically, I'm not downplaying the physicality part, but it's pretty easy to then try to, get into the mindset of I need a little break. So he's pushing these guys, man. He's pushing these guys hard. The practices are hard. padded practices more than ever, maybe. And he wants to see, hey, like whose alarm is set earlier to get in that training room to be prepared to be the best that they can be. And ultimately, those guys will start to separate themselves, because there will be some guys that shut it down a little bit. There will be some guys that decide, oh, man, I need to see if I can take a period off or go see the trainer because I got a little bit of soreness. And then there's going to be some guys that went, hey, I got up even earlier to get my body prepared and activated for this practice. And that's where they're going to start to separate themselves. So I'm all about testing these guys. Once again, I think a job as a coach is to try to make it harder than the game's going to be, which is it's hard to do. I think that's one of the reasons why Broncos are always doing well, is because, man, we go after each other, man, and try to, practices are intense, really trying to compete at a high level. They're obviously your brothers, but sometimes, man, you fight your bro. And sometimes you're battling out there and you're wanting to take somebody's head off. And, it's just that much more refreshing when it's, come week one and it's somebody else. So I love the mentality that's being built over there. Obviously that leadership from Coach D is awesome. And like you said, man, breath of fresh air, just having, some good vibes coming out of that building. I know players appreciate it. Coaches appreciate it. Obviously you and the media appreciate it. So really cool stuff brewing over there. And obviously they got their challenges ahead, and that's what they're working on right now. So it's an exciting time for Broncos and Bronco Nation.
Speaking of waking up and wake up calls and stuff, what was the running backs coach wake up call back when you were coaching there? What time for fall camp? I mean, in fall camp, what time were you waking up?
Oh, fall camp, I don't know, BJ, but I'll be honest with you, man. There was too many times that I went home at 12 o'clock. I didn't sleep, and then I was up at 4 and figuring out how to get to the office at 4:30 and being prepared as best possible to try to impact guys like George Halani and be, the best coach I can be. And that's where a little bit of my angst came, and not sleeping at night, which was unfortunate. Is, this is high-level football, right? And I was a young defensive player. And I didn't go the traditional route of being a GA and really like gradually learning the game on the offensive side. And I mean, of course, there's tricks of the trade and putting yourself, from the defensive perspective and going there and teaching those guys. But, I'd stay up pretty late to make sure that my film and my coaching points, and I understood everything the best of my ability. And then lay in bed at night, you're kind of wondering, are you doing a good enough job? And this is such a high level. You want to take care of your players and put guys in a position to succeed. So it wasn't a whole lot of sleep for me as a coach. 12 o'clock at night, coming home, about 4 o'clock waking up, and I don't know how much sleep in between, man.
Well, by the way, that was pretty cool to see George. Everyone was talking Ashton Genty the other night, but George Halani had himself a game, man. I know it's the first preseason game, but it'd be really cool. It's been cool to see him stick to this point, but if he can have more of a role there at running back for Seattle this year, that'd be awesome. And that was a cool night to see for him.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was super sweet to see. People making a big deal about, Ashton is a big deal, but making a big deal about his carries. I mean, the kid got 3 carries. Well,
at least 2 of them, they're in the backfield already before he caught the ball.
Yeah, I mean, give him 13 carries, give him 20 carries, and see what happens after that. So those guys are out there practicing too, right? And George took advantage of his reps. Was awesome to see. He did a great job. I think it was really cool to see that. Really unfortunate too, just on the subject of running backs, man. Shout out to my guy Alexander Madison, man. Prayers up for him. Super unfortunate, but man, the running backs at Boise State. I mean, there's guys that didn't even have a long NFL career, but BSU, man, RBU is a real thing, man. And I think that seeing George the other night brought that back to light a little bit. But there's been some studs coming out of that running back room, and it's not just of late. There's been lineage and history of it. So awesome for George. I think he played like 5 games last year or something like that. So, man, playing in the NFL is tough. But if he can put together a couple more active games, maybe all of them, I mean, whatever it is, I mean, he's putting a career together, and super happy for him. And obviously being a part of, being able to coach him at Boise was pretty special.
Well, Winston, appreciate your time as well. Oh, by the way, shout out to all the parents sending their kids back to school today. I know we joked about that, but my kiddos got them out the door today. Naismith going into 5th grade. We got 5th grade and 3rd grade now for Naismith and Nelson Rains. And, of course, you get the brand new Kohl's Polo for day 1. And Nelson's already got the toothpaste stain on it there on the side. But at least he brushed his teeth before the first day of school. So we got the new haircuts, the new shirts. They're ready to go in the Rains household. And proud of those kids. And I joked about it with my wife, but I may get better stream now on these shows with no YouTube or Fortnite going on in the background like the last couple of months now that they're out the door here at 9 o'clock. But always a fun day, but a little bit of a sad day as a parent, but especially someone like me that works from home. And for the most part, I was with them all summer. So they're back in school. And I know all the other kiddos out there are heading to school today or in the near future here in the West Ada School District and everywhere else. But back to school. And Winston, that means football's right around the corner here.
Yeah, man. I mean, we got these 100-degree days out here, but a few times, man, I started to smell a little bit of that fall coming in. So I'm looking super forward to the fall, and I've enjoyed my summer. My kids aren't in school yet, just 1 and 3, so got a little bit more time at home with them. But football's right around the corner. Appreciate you, BJ. It's exciting to get back on and talk some ball because it's coming right around the corner. We'll be hitting some game weeks here very soon. So looking forward to it.
Yep, looking forward to it. I know next week we got some NIL stuff we can dive back into as well and talk about a lot of what you're doing there. I know we kind of briefly mentioned it last week, but I know next week we'll try to dive into that a little more as well and some of the business side of the game because it keeps coming, man. Every day there's another. I'm seeing a Winston Venable retweet about something NIL related or money related every day.
Yeah, well, I saw yours this morning, man. David Booth over there in your KU. Wow, $300 million. I mean, that's the type of stuff that obviously, we'll talk about it, man. But it's all about generating some income. I know Jeremiah Dickey's just going to bat for the university to figure it out. And, it's unfortunate that you got to go through extremes to compete these days. But, I mean, that's the reality. Don't think it's changing anytime soon. I think it's, going to continue to change over the next 5 years and iron out. But when you have, people, shout out to Charles Leno and giving back to the program, things like that. I mean, it just goes such a long way, right? And then figuring out what to do with that money and generate more money. And shoot, it's a crazy landscape and something that we're not, accustomed to, but got to get accustomed to it. And I know people are putting their best efforts forward. So pretty cool to see what's going on out there. And yeah, man, looking forward to it.
Wednesdays with Winston. We'll hit on NIL, the business, the economics, I don't want to say the dirty side of college football, but just the side that maybe, is becoming more and more prominent here and becoming a bigger story is off the field stuff and the money and all that, as opposed to what's happening on the field as these guys are transitioning from amateurs to professionals here right before our eyes as college athletes. And that's a big part of this. And Winston, what he's doing on the financial side, for his daytime job is a big part of that. So shout out Ben Dooley, by the way, as well. Didn't he play pretty well the other night?
Ben Dooley got after it. Yeah, went out and played against the Cowboys and got in late in the third quarter, man. And, there's a couple Broncos out there. There's obviously guys we talk about a lot, but, Ben's down there with the Rams and played a heck of a end of the third quarter into the fourth, and they were winning the game. So they were able to run the ball quite a bit. And, unfortunately, they're running Ben's side, and he was in the picture and mauling dudes and got a lot of things to work on. But, man, super proud of that guy, man. Shout out to Ben Dooley, and Bronco Nation should keep their eyes out on Ben out there for sure. Yeah.
And I know you were been a big part of his, off the field journey here and helping him get down there and just everything that went there behind the scenes. So I know you've been close with Ben and been a big reason for, where he's at in terms of helping him train and get stuff lined up for him and everything else. So happy to see that. And hopefully he can continue to, they didn't draft a lineman, I don't think, on, this year. So he's got a chance there to really stick if he can make it work. And that was nice to see first preseason game for him to get in there. So Winston, appreciate your time as always, man. We'll do it again next Wednesday, every Wednesday here throughout the football season. Thank you so much for jumping on. Appreciate you, man. Great insight, great stuff. And we'll see you next week, man.
All right, BJ, take care. See you, Bronco Nation.
Winston Venable, Wednesdays with Winston here at Bronco Nation News. Appreciate all of our great sponsors and everybody for checking us out. Have a great day. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News Live, presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Hit them up for all your painting needs. And go check out bronconationnews.com. You can subscribe there. We got that $5 a month deal going right now. All of our practice observations. There was 4 people at practice from the media, Winston, yesterday, and 3 of them were from BNN. So you want to go see practice footage and highlights and insights of who stood out, whatever. There's really, I'm not bragging, there really just literally is only one spot. You can go get that right now, and that is bronconationnews.com. Our message boards, $5 a month right now. You can subscribe. We'd love to have you. Jump on in and daily content and coverage. And I know that Mike Sanford show coming up, Ball Talk with him and Johnny, is going to be behind the paywall, subscriber only this year. So you want to see that every week. You got to subscribe. And so appreciate you guys. Go subscribe. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News Live, Bronco Nation News, the all-new bronconationnews.com.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.